The first Michael Jackson movie just made $218 million worldwide in a single weekend. $97 million domestic, $121 million international. The biggest opening for any music biopic in history. It destroyed Straight Outta Compton's record. It destroyed Bohemian Rhapsody's record. It knocked Super Mario Galaxy off the #1 spot after 3 straight weeks. The audience score on Rotten Tomatoes hit 97%. CinemaScore gave it an A-. People were literally dancing and singing inside theaters during the concert scenes. And the very last thing audiences see before the credits roll is a title card that reads, "His story continues." That card was added just 1 month before release, because Lionsgate already knows what's coming next, a second movie. And if you think the first one was controversial, you have no idea what's about to happen. Lionsgate chairman Adam Fogelson confirmed it at CinemaCon. He told The Hollywood Reporter on the red carpet, "We absolutely have more story to tell. We have prepared for that moment." Then, in a separate interview with Business Insider, he went further. He said, "There's at least one more movie." He said he was always skeptical about telling Michael Jackson's entire life in a single film, and that a more complete story was always going to need more than one chapter. He said he supports the idea fully, as long as producer Graham King, director Antoine Fuqua, and writer John Logan are on board. And based on the numbers this weekend, there's no reason any of them would say no. Lionsgate internally hoped the film would gross $700 million worldwide. If it follows the trajectory of Bohemian Rhapsody, which opened to $51 million and climbed all the way to $910 million, $1 billion isn't out of the question. And at that point, you're not just greenlit for a sequel. You're greenlit for a franchise. But here's where it gets complicated. The first movie ends in 1988. Michael Jackson is at his absolute peak. The Bad Tour, the biggest entertainer on the planet. The credits roll and you walk out of that theater feeling amazing. A sequel picks up right where the fairy tale ends, and everything after 1988 is where Michael Jackson's story gets dark. The Dangerous era, the History era, Neverland Ranch, the 1993 allegations, the 2003 trial, the painkiller dependency, the financial collapse, and ultimately, June 25, 2009. That's what a second movie has to cover. And the question everyone is asking is, will they actually go there? Because the first movie didn't. The original third act of this film included a full dramatization of the 1993 police investigation. Director Antoine Fuqua told The New Yorker he filmed scenes of Jackson being stripped and treated like an animal, a monster during the Neverland raid. Those scenes were shot. They existed. They were part of the movie. And then lawyers discovered a clause in the legal settlement with the accuser that specifically prohibited any depiction of him in any film. 22 days of reshoots followed. The entire ending was scrapped. The budget ballooned from $155 million to $200 million. And what audiences got instead was a version that ends with Michael still on top of the world. No allegations, no controversy, no darkness. That's exactly why the critics gave it a 38% on Rotten Tomatoes, while audiences gave it 97%. The fans wanted a celebration, the critics wanted the full truth, and the film gave one side everything and the other nothing. A sequel can't do that again, because the years between 1989 and 2009 are defined by the allegations. You can't tell the story of Dangerous without Neverland. You can't tell history without the trial. You can't tell the final chapter without addressing what happened in those rooms and what the courts decided, and what they didn't. Producer Graham King has already told the studios what he envisions. According to Variety, the sequel would focus on Jackson's later albums, 1991's Dangerous and 2001's Invincible, the purchase and construction of Neverland Ranch, and what King described as Jackson's love of animals. About 30% of the footage originally shot for the first film went unused, and some of that material could potentially be incorporated into the sequel. But writer John Logan's script for the second film hasn't been finished yet, and insiders say nothing will be officially decided until they see the final box office numbers from this opening run. The Leaving Neverland director Dan Reed has already weighed in. He called the first film a complete whitewash and said it contains complete lies. He said the entire purpose of making the biopic was to contradict his documentary and move the narrative back in the estate's favor. And he's not backing down. He's currently working on a follow-up project tied to the civil lawsuit that Wade Robson and James Safechuck are bringing against Jackson's corporate entities, with a trial expected later this year. So by the time a second Michael movie goes into production, There could be an entirely new set of legal findings that change everything. Subscribe, because when this second film gets announced, we're breaking everything down.